miserably short. Okay. That's why I love doing this sermon, because she does not exist. She doesn't exist at all. See, when King Solomon wrote this for his mom, I wonder what grade he was in. Because it sounds like one of those Mother's Day Hallmark cards that you would do. Poem. It's the ABCs. Like if you were to say, pick your name, and then for every letter, like, so Penny. So P would be for all the positive, wonderful, pretty things she is. And E is for the extraordinary, energizing, you go through each thing. Well, that's basically what this is. So when you get to Proverbs, you probably have heard this song, right, Mother? I used to sing at every mother-daughter banquet with my mom. M is for the many things she gave me. O means only that she's growing old. T is for the tears she shed to save me. H is for her heart, her purest gold. E is for her eyes with love's light shining. R means right, and right shall always be. I'm going to repeat that one. R means right, and right shall always be. Put them all together and they spell mother, a word that means the world to me. So that's what that means. And that's exactly what the Proverbs 31 passage is. You got to think Hebrew, not English. And so if you go through that, King Solomon took all the letters and what they meant, actually the first letter that starts the Hebrew word, well, their sentence is a little different, so that's why we wouldn't understand it, but that's what it is. He's thinking of all the wonderful things and all the attributes that his mother means to him, whether it's really all true or not, the things that he's part to. Well, family circuses, around Grandma, I'll just say, you're one of the world's best mommies, okay? So I had this shirt, unfortunately, like everything, I outgrew it. It says, I'm a mom, what's your superpower? A mother is a person who's seen there are only 4 pieces of pie for 5 people, promptly announces she never did care for pie anyway. So Proverbs 31, King Solomon starts, I'm just going to jump in at verse 10. We're not going to look at all of it this time. A wife of noble character, who can find? For all of you mothers who are raising young men, what did you tell them to find in a woman? Right? Usually looks is not the first thing on the list. It's noble character. It's wisdom. Or, as my dad would say, she got a good head on her shoulders. Right? Common sense. She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her. Think about that. That means that a man is not married a fool, is he? If he has complete confidence in his wife that he could leave her and go far, and he knows that she will take care of the household when he comes back. He lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of his life. I chuckle when I look at this and I think about my dad's folks as their relationship. They loved each other dearly, but oh my gosh, they would get mad at each other, and every now and then something would get tossed across the living room. She'll do him no harm all the days of her life. Happy Mother's Day from one slave to another. She is like a merchant ship bringing food from afar. Who here's ever done a late night run to McDonald's or Taco Bell? She gets up while it's still night. She provides food for her family. Okay, who here ever had their child tell them at 10 o'clock as they were going to bed, oh, Mom, I need something for the bake sale, or I gotta have something for treats tomorrow because it's my turn to, You stayed up all night. Or you were making a birthday cake and you were decorating it yourself, and you were up until 1 o'clock in the morning trying to get Scooby-Doo to look just like the napkin, right? This is sent from the Sunday school class. Mom, thanks for not leaving me somewhere in a basket. Moses didn't write that one. Motherhood Inc., Human Resources. 1 vacation day a year, that's all I get. Yes, we call it Mother Days, but technically you still have to work. I remember the little boy when they asked about their dad what he did. He goes, what does he do? And he says, he goes to work. And then he comes home and he says, what's your mom do? She goes to work, she comes home, and then she works. That's about right. Those of you who have trying children, May the only person pressing your buttons this Mother's Day be a trained listener. I want my children to have all the things I couldn't afford, and then I want to move in with them. Probably have a lot more people at that stage right now, don't you? Solomon says, she is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. I love that. Can you just picture that imagery, right? When a woman is strong and they're confident, and even though that they know everything's probably half of what they're doing, they're messing up. And they know that, you know, life happens and it's not going right, but you can still laugh. Because, right, what do they say? If you don't laugh, you're gonna what?
Cry or scream.
Cry. You can choose. It's always a choice. Not that crying is bad by any means, but there are so many situations in life that happen that you just find yourself laughing at, right? Because you know that it is out of your hands, it's out of your control, and the only person who is in control is who? God. And that's why she can laugh at the days to come, because she knows the one who has numbered her days. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. Wisdom. From Mom. Because I said so. That's why. The one thing I said I was never going to say until I opened up my mouth and that came out my mother. Someday you will be a mom and then you will see. The one thing I never said though, never. My mom said, I hope one day you have a little one just like you. I said, I will never say that to her because I'm going to have to babysit. Don't blink or you'll miss it. I remember Anita Renfro, she's a Christian comedian, and she said, people would say that, and I'd look around at my little toddlers and Cheerios all over and a mess everywhere, and I would just go, just a little bit, just a little bit. But wow, you blink, 26, 22, and 20. This too shall pass. I know a lot of people don't like it when I say this, but you know, this is the words of absolute wisdom. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's bad, if it's good, if it's ugly, if it's indifferent, it's gonna pass. Enjoy the moment while you can. If it's bad, I can guarantee it's not going to stay that bad all the time. It will change. And if it's stupendous, it's not going to stay that way. So cherish and relish those moments. And I know, especially as a mom or a grandma, when you're babysitting, think about it, when the kids come over and you have them for that time, and life is so chaotic, and you can get so wrapped up into worrying about what am I going to feed them, what am I going to do, what am I going to, you know, all this stuff, that you can miss those precious moments instead of just sitting with the kids. I think this is actually a perfect example of Mary and Martha. What was Martha doing? She was so worried getting everything all ready. Are the kids going to remember that? No. But what did Mary do? She sat at the feet of Jesus and listened and absorbed. You know, growing up, that was the one thing that, because not that my mom didn't listen, but Grandma just seemed to have more time, you know? And so when I would go and spend time with my grandma, oh, we would talk, and she just listened and loved and cherished those times, and I did too. And I think it's funny because now Chantel's doing the same thing with my mom, going to grandma's and listening and talking. That's just the way. That's, I think, the joy when you get to be a grandma and a great-grandma. Remember, you are raising someone's husband or wife. Think about that. I'm sure you probably did when you were raising your kids. It's why you train them up to be able to be independent and to help out and to cook. And you know, it's okay for guys to know how to cook and to do the laundry and to help pick up after themselves. But also women, how to respect. We watch our parents and we model how our mothers treat our dads. And that is how we're supposed to. We're called by God to learn on that and to treat our husbands with dignity and respect. They may not remember, and this was a major one I learned early on. People may not remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. Yesterday I was at my nephew's graduation. This will be the last one now with the family, for high school anyway. And that was really cool. Out of all the great-grandparents, grandparents, us and our kids, all but one graduated from Cool Junction. That was neat. And the theme through all of that was how each one of those teachers impacted those kids' lives and how they made them feel. How they could go to them with, I mean, we're not just talking schoolwork, but how they kept talking about, so many of them were like a second mom or a second dad. How much they had mentored to them. It says, she watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. This is my Mother's Day present 2 years ago. I finally got my chainsaw. See, now I didn't think Chantel was actually going to be here. I knew the other two weren't going to be here, so I thought I could put up generic pictures, and I thought, heck, I'm going to have some fun and put up embarrassing ones of the kids, but then she did come, so.
They're already on Facebook, so I'm already embarrassed.
Ever heard of a job that requires no experience, gives no training, pays nothing, and you can't quit? That's motherhood. Oh, and people's lives are on the line. Moms don't wish they could sleep like a baby, they wish they could sleep like Dad. Said every mother. Oh yes, so this would be my baby sister. This is Queen Trixie. I love how we don't even have to say out loud that I'm the favorite child. Talking about the dog. In fact, I actually got her sweater for Christmas, just so that I'm the favorite child.
And Grandpa makes sure that Trixie's wearing that sweater every time she comes over to Mom's house.
She loves it too. Silence is gold unless you have kids, then silence is suspicious. Who here has ever turned your back on your children for just a moment and they got into stuff that you thought was absolutely impossible for that time frame? You know, I have to this day, I've been looking. I remember, oh my gosh, the kids were just little. Was it just you and Ashley? I don't think Brooke was even born yet. And I actually wrote it down because in less than a 20-minute time frame, I do not know how it was even earthly possible for them to get into that many different things and do that much stuff in 20 minutes while I was attempting to be outside doing chores. I remember flour was involved, water was involved, toilet paper was involved, crayons were involved. It was just inside, outside, it was unbelievable. You mean to tell me your real name isn't Mom? Who here has ever had your kids stand in a crowded room yelling, Mom! Mom! And about 150 heads turned looking. That was the only time that I was allowed to call my mother by her name Mary, was when we were actually in a big area where there was a bazillion moms. Her children arise and call her blessed, don't we all wish? Her husband also. And he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Can't you just see King Solomon writing this on his Mother's Day card? My kids could never make fun of me for teaching me how to use my phone. I taught them how to use a spoon. So we're raising kingdom warriors. Think about that. We're not raising them just for earthly stuff. We are raising them for heavenly. Train up a child in the way they should go, and they shall not depart from it. So be the example. As I said, actions speak way more than the words you could ever speak. What did I say about it? It wasn't what they said, what you said, but how you made them feel. How you was that example, how you showed them how to do the things. You are someone's mother or aunt figure. Whether you like it or not, you may go, I don't have kids, or I don't even have, I'm an only child, I don't even have nieces and nephews. Trust me, you have kids that have looked up to you and have confided in you and think of you as that aunt or that mother. So you are impacting lives all the time. Talk about teenagers. I am a mother of dragons. I need an army, not edible arrangements. If you're a mom of teenagers, this one's for you. Mom, what's it like to have the greatest daughter in the world? I don't know, honey. You'll have to ask your grandma. There's 4 generations in that one. That's my mother's mother, Grandma Pauline. This will be my dad's mom, Blondie. That is my husband's mom right there. Mary Ann, and then Frances is her mom up above. So. A good mother loves her kids. A great mother will still love them when they're teenagers. Especially with Dancing with the Stars. You never realize how weird you are until you have a kid that acts just like you. That was the We Three Kings version during COVID, and it was my mom, and she says, hey, and she looked at Chantel and I and said, yeah, you'll do this with me, won't you? Charm is deceitful, deceptive, beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Do you realize that's really the most important thing? Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise in the city gates. To my laundry folding, food serving, problem solving superhero. So who needs a superhero when we have a mom? Well, so that's why I brought this along. I was trying to figure out what I was going to wear today, and I thought about this, but then I thought, oh geez, it was going to be too hot. But you know, we all have our own superhero abilities, right? And this last year, I don't know, who here has a favorite superhero? Or a favorite? Well, who here likes Indiana Jones? Yep. Well, that would be me, and so when I went to Israel the second time, I found the hat. I already had the jacket, so all I had to do was get the satchel. And you know what? I thought about that, and guess what comes with the satchel? The whip. I thought, well, yeah, I'm a mom of three. You know, we always have to keep them in line. And then the more I thought about it, I just did a sermon on Jesus driving out the people in the temple with the whip and overturning the money changers. There's a lot to be said about a whip. A whip, you know, a whip is kind of like a shepherd's hook. Yes, it can be for correction, but guess what a shepherd hook does? It can also grab onto something and pull somebody. Have you ever watched Indiana Jones? How many times did he use his whip to save somebody that was falling off a cliff? Or to save himself that he was getting ready to fall or get into danger? Or to snatch things gun out of somebody's hand, right? It was more for that. It wasn't for offense, it was defense. Jesus used it to make a point. So what makes a mom super besides all the day in and day out, dirt fighting, cooking, cleaning, chauffeuring, laundry, dishes, shopping, nursing, praying, teaching, disciplining, kissing and hugging? It is teaching and raising her kids in the Word of God. And train up a child in the way they should go, and they shall not depart. You know, I have 3 kids who you wonder after they leave, and every one of them have found church homes. And they have decided to do Bible studies, and they have done devotionals. And all I can do is sit back and smile, knowing that when you do train them up, and maybe your kids have gone astray, and they haven't done that yet, but trust me, when they have had that instruction early on, they do come back. Nothing is more powerful than a praying mom. Your biggest job right now is raising your children, but also teaching your daughters to be super in the eyes of God as well, and teach them where your power really comes from, God, and your recharging strength station. Remember prayer. Your supervision through the scriptures, your super hearing from listening to the Holy Spirit and God's voice, and your super patience is from Jesus, the Prince of Peace. See, I told you, so that's how she does it. Faster than a speeding toddler, more powerful than the Energizer Bunny, able to leap tall mounds of laundry in a single bound. It's a kiss, it's a hug. It's super mom. So when you say yes to God and yes to being a mom or a stepmom or a grandma or an aunt or an adopted aunt, choose your cape and know what? Know that when you put it on, you are not sent out on this mission alone. But moms, you can't be superwoman every day, all the time. Life mounts higher than the dirty dishes and laundry. Life happens, hardships come. Kids rebel and leave. Almost every child has said at one time or another, I hate you. The loss of a child is a gaping hole that will never be filled. John's grandma had lost every single one of her children before she died, except for Mary Ann. And Mary Ann passed just a couple weeks after she did. I can't imagine the loss and the suffering and the pain of what that's like. God does not expect you to have it all together all all of the time. Or even half of the time. That's the best part. Because why? We're not God. We are broken, imperfect, fractured people, just trying our best to keep our kids alive and to teach them in a way. Our job is to teach your children who they can run to for every situation. Guess what? That still goes for us too. Isaiah 66 that we looked at said, as a mother comforts her child, so I, God, will comfort you. And that is the hope. That is the hope that we take. And while you can't save your kids, you can't teach them about the one who can. And that person is Jesus Christ. The author and perfecter of our faith, our comforter, our redeemer, our rock. On those times when maybe we've just said, I quit! I quit! One of the valedictorian yesterday, I'll leave you with this. She gave her speech and she was talking about, it must have been an early senior year. She was really struggling and she got to the point where life was too much. And she said, I quit everything. I can't do this. And as she was coming out of the FFA building, YAG building, she just happened to look down and somebody had just put this painted rock right there that said, don't quit. God is everywhere. He uses people. If you think for some moment something comes on your head, in your head or in your mind that you should say something, that you should write something to someone, give somebody a call, do it. Because you never know when that is the exact answer to that person's prayer. And maybe you're like she is. Maybe you're at a point where you just feel like, I quit. I can't do this anymore. Life's too hard. Just remember that you have a God who's cheering you on. And I think of Jesus, we just came off of this as he came into the triumphal entry. And they said, make your disciples be quiet. And he said, very truly, I tell you, if I do, even the very rocks will cry out, don't quit. I added that part. So for all of you mothers everywhere, happy Mother's Day. And thank you so much for everything that you have done to raise up a generation of godly men and women. Amen.